Hi guys, it's Kaden King and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, which I'm hoping will be the third and final wrap up of how I decide to talk about this topic. Basically, like I said, I was really intoxicated when I was dealing with what I was dealing with when it came to Reed. When I was going post-breakup, and I think it took me a long time to get to here. However, it seems like every time I make a video, it's like it's not good enough. But A, I've always felt nothing's ever good enough, and B, it just, I don't know, to the 5 people that care, I finally edited me going through the initial sting of the breakup, and it didn't sit right with me because it didn't feel right. So then I made an introduction, and then I made another video talking about freaking Labubu's, and it just, I don't know, just none of it, even right now, like nothing feels authentic enough, nothing feels real enough, and I just don't know how, to navigate being authentic, because I can go look at old videos where I just knew how to be myself on camera, and I feel like I lost that, and I lost that probably through insecurity. Insecurity, and I was gonna say more things, but I guess just mainly through insecurity. And, I don't know. I made the first video, and then I made the second video to bury the Reed video, but it just doesn't feel quite like the Kyle and Victor stuff. Not that it feels finished, but when I made the video, it felt, I guess the Victor stuff still doesn't feel finished, but when I made the Kyle video, it was raw, it was real, it was in the moment, it was just put on the camera and talk. Like, just go through what happened, because it was something that had never happened to me before. And now here we are. And I was editing, and I was like, this just is not, even right now. And I'm sure even if you guys have seen my videos, up and weight, down and weight, up and weight, down and weight. It has been this constant battle of trying to maintain this form of being so skinny. Which doesn't matter either, but I think it's just to make up for the fact that I feel like, oh my gosh, I used to be so skinny. But, I've, over the past, few days, I've watched a lot of things over the past month or two, I've done a lot of, I don't know if you call it research or just general guidance, but I've, what do you call it when you outuse a resource? But I've exhausted, I guess, a lot of resources, books, people, when it comes to what I'm going through. And I think, the word, that sounds stupid, the word, but I think it does say a lot of things, where I think I find myself getting the most stuck. And I don't know if it hit me this morning, I don't know if it hit me last night, but the word naive comes to mind. Someone said it, and it hasn't gone away. I think what has been the most hurtful throughout my life is I feel like everyone that I have, that sounds victim mentality, but just in general, I think, or I guess maybe not in general, maybe pertaining to The word I get stuck on is naive. And I think, you know, it's so funny. Just this man, like, I don't know if it's because I gained weight that I'm retracting into, like, my manly ways, because I think it's a coping mechanism. I have to have nails at all times, but I think because I got fat, I got scared. Doesn't matter. But, the word naive came up the other day, and it really stuck with me, and I think, I think it just, takes home why I'm so upset. Maybe not why I'm so upset. Like, I think, if you said, meet the love of your life and be naive, I would have signed the dotted line. Or just, I think that's the other thing that I think is fair to give my exes. Even now, knowing everything I know now, if Kyle, Victor, Reed, who else was in there? Garrett, Tyler, just all these people that hurt me, if I wouldn't change it. Or if I could do it over again, if I had another day with them, if I had, even if I could, I wouldn't change anything. And if I could have another day with them, I'd probably sign and say, yes, I want another day with them. But you have to understand when it comes to life and learning to love yourself and, going through all the things I've gone through, it's a lot. And I think it's crazy because now I'm old. I'm old. We're not saying my age, but I'm old. In my eyes, I'm 20, 21. But I think, like I said, naive comes up a lot in my mind since I've heard it, because I'm in my 20s and am naive. And I think someone in their 40s should not be naive. Or at least know, I don't know. I have so much respect for Reed and his kids and him, and I'm trying not to make it a bashing video because I've never tried to make it a bashing video. I've just tried to tell the truth. But, when you're 46 versus 26, you have 20 years on me. I think that person needs to take a little extra care when it comes to a 20-year-old that's naive, that doesn't know exactly what they're getting themselves into, or I've always been so willing to sign my life away for people. And, it wasn't until I knew, but it wasn't until I read the Mel Robbins book and got to that last chapter of love that I realized, or not realized, but maybe I guess just pieced it all together, that I've just always built my life for other people. I never built a life for me or to feel better. And I think, part of the reason I'm posting the first video that I hope to bury is there is truth in it sucks to think I'm going to not be the chosen one, that I'm not going to be the one. That was real. And I think that part was important, that I couldn't just wash it away. But I also know I was naive. Someone, 46, money, flies you out, gives you the fairy tale Cinderella fantasy, and you make up excuses instantly for every reason in the world. Maybe not why this person's a bad person, but why this person is not ready, or why this person is either using you or B, not ready. But I hope you guys know that in my words, Reed is the one that pursued the relationship with me at the beginning. He is the one that wanted it. And I think that's so, so important to the story. And I know I didn't get, out of respect for his kids, I try not to get into the details. Out of respect for him, I try not to get into the details. Because he never physically touched me. Like, if you physically touch me, I'm gonna air your shit out. Not like that, but just the trauma of Kyle and Victor, like, obviously, like, I talked about it, but, with him, it was a lot different. But I still think there needs to be some certain accountability when it comes to being, I don't know what you'd call it, but just, it goes back to the word naive. And I just think we see it time and time again. You're the 20-year-old blonde, well, now I'm fat, but skinny twink. And that's what they see you as. They don't really care about the details or getting to know the person. You're feeling, or I felt like I just filled his ego. I don't know. I got stuck on this word naive and I was like, okay, third video, here it comes, just to bury it. But it's really hard because I get so stuck on him because the Reed I fell in love with, and this sounds stupid, he sent me a picture of when he was in his 20s. It's not, he looks dorky, and he is standing next to this Coke machine. I'm sure his, I would guess, wife took the picture. I don't know, but, you know, he showed me that picture, and then I've seen a couple other pictures of before he knew he was getting a divorce. And no abs, no long hair, just, I fell in love with that person. I fell in love with the person that just, I could tell, wanted what I wanted. Just it wasn't about image. And I also think while we dated, there was, when I met him, he had, don't get me wrong, like an 8-pack, and he's so buff and rich and just successful, and like, and I don't know where, you know, I wish I could see inside his brain, because I could tell where the insecurities were, and I could tell where certain things were, but, that person, that's not who I fell in love with. I fell in love with the person that had nothing. And maybe that's wrong if he's flying me out to Vegas and these other things, but it really is true. And, you know, I've always been that way. I would like it better if you're that, I don't know, all the problems, just because it makes me not have to work as hard. And, you know, Reed probably met me at the top of my game. I was the skinniest I've ever been, blondest I've ever been, prettiest I have ever been, youngest, and that's how they all found, that's how Reed, Victor, and Kyle have all found me at the top of my game, because I was doing everything in the book to be perfect. And, you know, when it came to Reed, he was perfect when I found him, but that's not what I was in love with. I was in love with what came before that. I was so, I mean, obviously I have a butterfly tattoo because I'm just so invested in the transformation of people, and I find it so fascinating. And, you know, there's this, I just fell in love with the prior Reed, the Reed that I don't know went from nothing to having, I've seen the house he grew up in, like, to what he is now. And I don't know, I'm losing my train of thought. But anyways, point being, I just felt like there needed to be another video because the first video wasn't good enough. The second video was all about La Boo Boo. And, you know, I had all these thoughts, and I just think being in my 20s and him being in his 40s, it just comes back to that word naive. And it's not like I'm mad at him. I still love him. I still love Kyle. I still love Victor. I still love Garrett. I still love everyone that has ever hurt me in my life. But it just didn't feel like a conclusion, I guess. And I'm trying, like, if you guys don't know, like, I've been broken up with Victor for probably 3 years almost. And do you know how much I try to call his friends? Do you know how much I try to call his ex-coworkers? Do you know how much I try to get in contact with him? I try to get in contact with anybody because I'm nice. And that's not to feed my own ego, but it's like, I just genuinely love people. And I don't know, whatever. Anyways, doesn't matter. But point being that I made the first video when I was really upset, and I made the second video when I thought I was on top of the world, and now I'm making the third video when I realized I'll just never be on top of the world. And it sucks. And I just think, well, I guess to go back to it, the first video is important because it's the idea of losing out on someone I thought was so special with nothing. Like, if you had he has everything right now, but I'm saying if you had nothing, I would have picked you. But just the idea of losing out on that to somebody else is sad. And I just, you always wonder, like, why, if I live my life in so much love and kindness and happiness, and why don't I have that? You know? Or maybe you do. Maybe everything's fine, but I don't know. I just really got stuck on the word naive because I think he just never loved him to death, and I don't hold him accountable for divorce, marriage, kids, whatever, not being ready, new to this, naive. I think I deserved that. That was the one thing I think I deserved. Is I am a naive, I know 20s, but kid, and you're 40. And you pursued me. And, you know, as much as I hold myself accountable, I should hold the other people accountable. That's why when the domestic violence stuff happened with Reed and, or not Reed, but with Victor and Kyle, I just wanted someone to be accountable for it. And I think right now why it doesn't feel closed is because I think someone needs to be accountable for the fact that I'm in my 20s. I'll believe anything you say to me versus someone in their 40s who tells you that you've changed their life and then you even finally crack and text them the other day, and then they just want nothing to do with you. So that's a shitty note to end on, but this feels more complete. Not Caden in a juicy tracksuit. And I think I said in another video, like, Victor would roll over if he fucking knew that I was gonna become as manly as I was, but right now, pretty manly. But got the nails. Anyways, I just had to make this video because it didn't feel done. It still doesn't feel done. I don't even know. There could be a fourth video. And I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. I got fat.